So let's start with the GIT. We'll continue where we left. So today we are going to deal mainly with secretions and digestion. Yeah, so let's start with the secretion. I think yesterday we dealt with salivary gland secretion. So the next we are going to learn about is gastric secretions. Is gastric secretion. Okay, before moving on to gastric secretion, we have to learn some anatomy about the gastric glands. So this picture you can see the gastric glands mainly have following parts. First of all, gastric pit and the gastric gland. The gastric pit is where the entire gastric secretion is mainly getting secreted over here. And then the gastric gland that consists of many cells. We will deal with it, what all cells. Mainly the cells are present in the gastric glands that secrete all the secretions of the stomach. Okay, so we'll see what all cells are located. You can see some cells are marked: mucous neck cell, parietal cell, chief cell, enteroendocrine cells, or they are also called as ECL cell, enterochromatin-like cells. Okay, so let's start. Let's start with a small diagram first. So first of all, we have to learn about gastric secretions, mainly about HCl, gastric secretion. So point number one, we have to learn about gastric glands. Can you tell me which part of the GIT is it located? Yes, it is located in the submucosa. Okay. Now, what are the type of these glands? These are mucus glands. Okay. How how is it formed? The gastric pit. The gastric pit. The gastric pit. You saw right. The gastric pit. There is a particular gastric pit over here. How is it formed? You can see that the gastric mucosa. Just follow the cursor. The gastric mucosa folds. The gastric mucosa folds and it results in formation of a pit. See, this is the gastric. So the next gastric mucosa will again be like that. Then it will go inside and it will come back. So it is mainly like this. The gastric mucosa goes inside. This goes again inside. Here are the gastric glands located, and this structure is called as this segment is called as gastric pit. Okay. So now we'll go on to like what was it? Yeah, gastric glands. The gastric pit is formed by gastric mucosa that folds like root, or the gastric mucosal folds form the gastric pits. Simply, in simple words, you can say like this. So, what are the cells? What are the cells that together form the gastric? Also, it's simply you can write like that. So, this point you can write like mucosa folds like root to form gastric pits. Okay. Now let's move on to what are the different kinds of cells. What are the different kinds of cells in the gastric gland? We'll see. So first of all, we will draw a small pit-like structure. Okay, let's see what are the different cells. First of all, there is something called as, yeah, this is called as mucous neck cell. Mucous neck cell. I am drawing the initial alphabet only. So this is the mucous neck cell. What does it secrete? It secretes mucus. Mucous neck cell secretes the mucus. Oh, sorry, wait. I drew in the gastric pit. The gastric pit doesn't have any glands. Okay, it is the lower part, not here. This is the gastric pit. It should have been a little bit narrower. We'll go like this. The gastric pit and the gastric glands. And I think now it is okay. So this is called as a gastric mucosa. Gastric mucosa. This is called gastric pit, and this part is called as gastric gland. Now we will draw the cells. So first of all, there is a cell called as mucous neck cell. Mucous neck cell. This one. What does it produce? It produces mucus. Now what produces mucus in small intestine? Yeah, it's goblet cell. That is how you differentiate stomach from intestine. Same epithelium, but there is cilia also. Yeah. Now next cell. Next cell is called as chief cells. So we'll draw with a blue color. Chief cells. Chief. C. Chief cells. What does it produce? These are called as chief cell. It produces something called as pepsinogen. It produces pepsinogen. It is also called as zymogen cell. It is also called as zymogen cell. So this is the chief cell. First one was mucous cell, secrete mucus. The second one is called as a chief cell that secretes pepsinogen. Is it clear? Hello guys, is it clear? Can you hear me now? Okay. So now, first cell was mucous cell, second cell is called as a chief cell, and now we are moving on to the third cell. The third cell is mainly called as oxyphil cells. Oxyphil. We'll draw with green color. Oxyphil. O. These are called as oxyphil cells. What do they produce? They produce HCl. So first cell was mucous cell that secretes mucus. Second chief cell or zymogen cells that produces pepsinogen. Third one is called as oxyphil cells that produces HCl. Then comes the next cell which is called as G cell. G cell. What does G cell produce? G cell produces another hormone which is called as gastrin. So we will draw a G. Okay, we'll draw a G. So there is our G cell. This is called as G cell. What does it produce? It produces gastrin. Now, mucous cell secretes mucus, chief cell or zymogen cell secrete pepsinogen, oxyphil cells HCl, G cells gastrin. Now next. Next is called as D cell. D for dog. D cell. So we will draw it with white. So D cell. Next is D, D, D cell, D cell. What does it produce? It produces somatostatin. 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 Now, the last cell that is called as enterochromaffin-like cell. Enterochromaffin-like cell. We'll draw it with orange we used. Draw it with purple. Okay, it is called as enterochromaffin-like cell. This one, enterochromaffin-like cell, ECL. What does it produce? It produces histamine. It produces histamine. So now one more time we can just revise. First cell M, mucous cell secretes mucus. C, chief cells or zymogen cells produces pepsinogen. O or oxyphil cells produces HCl. D cells, oh sorry, G cells produces gastrin. D cells produces, what does D cell produce? Okay, D cell produces somatostatin, and the next one is E cell or the enterochromaffin like cells produces histamine. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now you can imagine there is lot of HCl getting secreted in the gastric, I mean the stomach. So why doesn't the stomach gets degenerated? Because it's very acidic. No, the pH is around something like less than 1, right? Or in the gastric, in the stomach, it is around 1 to 2. So why doesn't the stomach degenerate? This is because there are something called as trefoil peptides. Trefoil peptides. Trefoil peptides. What are these trefoil peptides? Trefoil peptides. These are the substances that prevent autodigestion. Okay, trefoil peptides. Now we know the anatomy of the gastric gland. Then we know where it is located, what is the type of the gland, and what is the substance preventing autodigestion. Trefoil peptides. Now we will move on to gastric secretion. Just take a screenshot. Is it clear till now? Clear, no? We'll move on. Next topic. Okay, so the next topic is we'll go to gastric juice. We'll move on to gastric juice. Gastric juice. So first of all, we have to learn about the properties. What are the features? Okay, feature point one. What is the volume? First point we have to learn. Second point, what is the pH? Third point, what are the different substances? Substances in gastric juice. Okay, so let's learn one by one. First of all, what is the volume? The volume is 2.5 liter per day. What was the volume of saliva secreted per day? 1.5 liters per day. What is the value of gastric juice secreted per day? It is 2.5 liters per day. Okay. Okay. So now we are moving to the next question. What is the pH? pH I already told you. It is equal to 1 to 2. 1 to 2. So it is very acidic. Now, what are the substances? Next topic. Substances are divided into two types. Okay. Two types. There are two kinds of substances. One is called as One is called as inorganic, 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 and another one is called as organic. So what are the inorganic substances? The inorganic substances are just one, that is our HCl. So HCl is secreted in the gastric lumen, right? This one. See this. This is the gastric lumen, and this is the gastric pit. HCl is getting secreted in the gastric lumen. It comes in the gastric pit and then into the stomach. Correct. So, in the gastric lumen, sorry, I mean the gastric glands. Yeah, in the gastric gland lumen, in gastric gland lumen, pH is less than 1. Important. pH is less than 1. What is the pH in stomach? 1 to 2. Whereas in gastric gland lumen, it is less than 1. Now, tell me the organic substances that are present. Organic substances present in gastric juice. The organic substances are, first of all, it is pepsinogen. Now, tell me which cell secretes pepsinogen. Yes, correct. It's zymogen cells, or also called as chief cells. Correct. Yeah. Now, uh, pepsinogen. Pepsinogen is actually a precursor molecule. It is actually it requires something to get activated. It is a, we will write it. It is a precursor molecule. Precursor. It is a precursor. Precursor of what? Precursor of pepsin. Now, pepsinogen will get converted to pepsin in the presence of what? In the presence of something called as HCl. In the presence of HCl, it will get converted to pepsin, and pepsin is a very active form. Now tell me, what are the other organic substances present? What are the other organic substances present? For another one is mucin. M-U, wait. Another one is called as mucin. Mucin. The next one is called as intrinsic factor. Okay, so pepsinogen, intrinsic factor, mucin, then other things are also there like lipase, renin, etc. Just you have to remember there are two kinds of substances, organic and inorganic. Organic is mainly our pepsinogen, mucin, intrinsic factor, and inorganic is HCl. Then you have to remember about the pH and volume. That's it. Now we are did you understand till now? Yeah, we'll move on to the next topic. So we have done with the anatomy of gastric glands. We know right now like what are the properties of gastric juice. Now we are going to learn about mechanism of HCl secretion. Okay. So there is next topic, mechanism of HCl. HCl is the organic component of what? Gastric juice, right? Yeah. So mechanism of secretion of HCl, HCl, mechanism of HCl secretion. So for that we just need one diagram. What is HCl secreted by? What is HCl secreted by? Tell me the name of the cell. If you don't remember, we'll go back. HCl is secreted by a cell called as oxyphil cells. It is also called as parietal cell. Okay. So HCl is secreted by which cell? Secretion by one cell called as oxyphil cell. Okay. Now we will just learn this entire thing by a diagram. Very simple way. So first of all, we will make a cell. Which color? I'll use green. So we'll use green. So this is our cell. One cell. Okay, this is not gastric pit or gastric mucosa. This is one cell. One oxyphil cell present in a gastric gland. You have to learn how secretion occurs. So first of all, this is one cell. Now, this is called as a lumen. This side. It is apical. This is called as apical membrane. Okay, it's called as apical membrane, or simply we can write lumen. Why to confuse? It's called as lumen. It's the lumen. Okay. Now, next thing we have to know, there is one. What are the reactions occurring? Let's see. So first of all, every cell will produce CO2, and we know water is present inside the cell, right? Okay. So these two combine in presence of an enzyme called as carbonic anhydrase. What is the enzyme? Carbonic anhydrase, and form a substance called as H2CO3 hydro. What is it? Bicarbonate. Yeah, bicarbonate. Now, what happens is this bicarbonate will split up into two. Split up into what? Into bicarbonate ion and H positive ion. HCO3 negative and H positive. Now what happens? Now we need some channels or transporters. So there we'll make one channel. We'll use red color. So here on the luminal side, near the the gastric gland lumen, there is one small channel here. This red one. This is one channel. Okay. So what is the function of this channel? The function of this channel is we'll use the dark color. It is white. Okay, the function of this channel is it will pump in one potassium. It will pump inside one potassium and pump outside one hydrogen ion. Pump in one potassium, pump out one hydrogen ion. Pump out where? Into the lumen. By utilizing what? By utilizing ATP. So the name of the pump is hydrogen H positive K positive ATPase. Okay, so this is a proton pump. Okay, this is a proton pump. This is a proton pump, and it is because of this pump we get H positive ions in the lumen. So it is a primarily acting pump or primary action. Primary action important. Primarily acting pump. So there is H positive K positive pump where in the luminal side, right? So what happens is one potassium is pumped inside and one H positive goes outside. So which is that H positive? This is this H positive that goes outside. Clear? Okay. Now we'll see on the basolateral membrane. This is the base. Okay. This is the basement membrane, right? This one. This one is the basement membrane. So this is called as basolateral site. Now over here, there is one pump. What is that pump? Over here, another pump is there on the basolateral membrane. There is another pump. That pump, the function of that pump is it will pump in one chloride. It will pump in what? One chloride and remove one HCO3 negative. It removes one bicarbonate and and pumps in one chloride. So there is an exchange of two anions. So this pump is called as anion exchanger. This pump, one chloride inside, one HCO3 outside. What, from where does the HCO3 negative comes? From here. See. Now, now what happens? What happens to the chloride now? That is the question. What happens to the chloride is there is another pump where on the luminal side we make that pump with some blue color. There is another pump here. Now what that pump does is it will take this chloride, it will take this chloride and will pump it out into the lumen. So chloride comes here. What is that pump called as? It is called as chloride channel. It is not a pump, it is a chloride channel. So does this process require any energy? This process, no, right? So it is passive diffusion. Now we have H plus, we have Cl negative. So H plus Cl negative will form HCl. So that is how HCl is produced. Did you get the point? Okay, again we will do it. Now what happens is, from where does HCl is secreted? It is from the oxyphil cells. Now oxyphil cells are located where? In the gastric gland. We know that. Okay. Now on the inside the cell, it produces CO2 by metabolism. It already has what? It already has what? Sorry. It already has water. So CO2 plus water in the presence of which enzyme? Carbonic anhydrase combine to form H2CO3. H2CO3 again splits. What is the splitting enzyme? It is again carbonic anhydrase only. So it splits to form bicarbonate ion and H positive ion. Now on the luminal side, you can see that red color pump. It utilizes ATP and pumps in one potassium and pumps out one hydrogen ion. So this is the hydrogen ion that gets pumped out. Now on the basolateral side, we have an anion exchanger that pumps out bicarbonate and pumps in chloride. And again on the luminal side, this chloride is taken out by passive diffusion with the help of a chloride channel. H positive Cl negative combines to form what? HCl. Okay, clear. Now, what happens to this HCO3 negative? That is the question. What happens to this HCO3 negative? I'll write it over here. This HCO3 negative, no, part of it is expelled by our lungs. Okay, so expelled by lungs and part of it by lungs by how by increasing the respiratory rate, and part of it by what? By the urine. So in the urine, when HCO3 negative, is it a bicarbonate, is alkaline or acidic? It is alkaline, yeah, it is alkaline. So when it passes in the urine becomes alkaline. Okay, now this total, this lungs, the elimination of HCO3 in the lungs, elimination of HCO3 in the urine, this total is called as post, post means after, postprandial alkaline time. Okay, that is postprandial. Prandial means food, alkaline time. After the food, there is some amount of time where the urine and the blood, or you can say where the blood stays alkaline. So that's why when the blood stays alkaline, same blood goes to your kidneys, and bicarbonate is eliminated out. And when bicarbonate is eliminated out by the kidney and lungs, it is again neutralized back to neutral. Clear? Is it clear? Is it clear, or we should repeat it? Is it clear, or we should repeat? Okay. So we will move on to the next topic. Next topic is regulation of gastric secretion. Next topic is called as regulation of gastric secretion. Regulation of HCl secretion. That also we will learn by what? We'll learn by a diagram. So mainly you have to know what are the hormones involved in regulation. First, we will learn the names of the hormone. So regulated by number one, gastrin. Number two, histamine. Number three, vagal. What is vagal? Vagus nerve. Vagal stimulation. Okay, tell me, from where is gastrin secreted? Tell me, where is gastrin secreted from? It is from which cell? G for G. So G cells. Where is histamine produced from? G for G. Histamine produced from? Histamine produced from which cell? Enterochromaffin-like cells. No, vagal. It is a nerve, no? Okay. So next point. Next point, we have to learn one diagram. Okay. Okay. We have to learn a diagram. Now, uh, okay, fine. How will we learn? Okay. So this is particular cell. It has certain receptors. Okay. This is a particular cell. It has certain receptors. It has receptors. Okay. This is which cell? This is oxyphil cell only. Oxyphil cell. Now, do you remember the previous slide? This receptor, when the HCl production is not required, just imagine when there is no food in my stomach. So, do I need this receptor here? No, I don't need. So, this receptor won't be there. Receptors are or pumps or chloride channels, receptors, pumps, or whatever channels, whenever their function is required, whenever they are like, whenever we want, whenever our body want it to function, they will be produced by the cell. And whenever it's not required, it won't be produced. Okay, did you get that? So what happens is, now there is no receptor. This is my oxyphil cell, Android converter. This is the oxyphil cell. This is I'm drawing the luminal side. Now there are certain receptors over here. Okay, I'll draw a different color. So first of all, we will learn this pathway. Wait, first of all, gastrin. Gastrin is secreted. Gastrin. Okay, gastrin. Gastrin is a hormone that stimulates one cell called as enterochromaffin-like cell. Now, enterochromaffin cell-like cell on stimulation will produce what? It will produce histamine. Correct. Histamine. Okay. Okay. So histamine got produced, and gastrin is also there. So there's a little bit gastrin also here. So gastrin is here, small amount. Small amount of gastrin acts on enterochromaffin cells to produce histamine, and we have something called as acetylcholine over here. Okay. So now what are the receptors present on the basolateral membrane? Let's see. First receptor. This is my first receptor. Receptor is the one, like if suppose it's like a socket. It's like a socket. You connect a wire to it and switch the plug on. It starts working. The receptor is like a socket. Simple words. Okay, so that is the first receptor, that white one. It is called as M3 or muscarinic. See, whenever I am discussing about acetylcholine, no, the system I am discussing is called as cholinergic system. So there are two main receptors. Acetylcholine can act through two main receptors. One is called as muscarinic or M receptors, and another one is called as nicotinic receptors. That is N receptors. Okay, so this is M3 or muscarinic type 3. I'll write it muscarinic receptor. Okay, muscarinic. So what happens is, so what is the next receptor we are going to learn? You're going to learn another receptor. This is called, we'll make it like a circle. This is called as, this particular receptor is called as H2, H2 receptor or histamine 2 receptors. Next, next is called as, next is another receptor which is called as gastrin receptor. So we will make it like something like this. Okay, this is my gastrin receptor. This one, gastrin, gastrin receptor. Now, this is the acetylcholine molecule. Wait, this is the acetylcholine molecule. Now, histamine will make, this is the histamine molecule, and this is the gastrin molecule. Now, histamine, when it comes over here and attaches, this receptor gets activated. Okay, when this receptor gets activated, there is one pathway called as CAMP activation. CAMP. That is okay. I'll explain you what it is. CAMP activation. It is actually a second messenger. You will learn in general physiology. You will, when we teach that, take it till next session. General physiology. It is a second messenger. It is a second messenger. Okay, this second messenger will cause activation of something. We will see what is that something. So H2 receptor getting stimulated by histamine. What is the second messenger? It is CAMP, CAMP. Okay, now we'll see what are the second messengers for these things. So now acetylcholine, what it does it, this thing goes and attaches here. What happens? Muscarinic receptor gets stimulated. Now it activates calcium. Now calcium is the second messenger here. Calcium. What was here? Said CAMP. Here it is calcium. Now we'll see what happens when gastrin attaches. Gastrin attaches here and it activates a second messenger called as again calcium. Second messenger. So CAMP is the second messenger here, calcium here, calcium here. All these second messengers will activate an enzyme called as enzyme is called as no, not this color. It's called as protein kinase. Okay, now the protein kinase will help in synthesis of a transporter which we have learned already. What is that called? What ATPase? Yeah, it will help in synthesis of an ATPase which is called as H positive, K positive ATPase. Then what will happen? The cell has already produced H positive, HCO3 negative. This pump will take out H positive and push in potassium. The chloride ion will be synthesized and then we'll be getting HCl. Did you get that? Okay, one more time. The gastrin acts on the enterochromatin cells to form histamine. Histamine acts on H2 receptor. CAMP is the second messenger. Gastrin receptor. Calcium is the second messenger. Acetylcholine, muscarins, calcium is the second messenger. Protein kinase and H positive, K positive ATPase. Now, this is called. Now we will see the previous slide once. Now, I think most of you would have got gastritis, right? Acidity. What you call as acidity is actually called as gastritis. Okay. So this pump pumps out. This pump. Look at the cursor. This pump. It's an anion exchanger. So there is only negative charge, and this pump only pumps in and out protons or positive charges, right? So this is also called as proton pump. Now, when you get gastritis, what do you have? You either take a drug called as pantoprazole or pantoprazole or Omaze. You would have heard about this one. It is omeprazole. What is it? It is actually proton pump inhibitor. So proton pump gets inhibited, there is no HCl secretion. You get relieved of your acidity. Okay, so that is the clinical I told you just a bit, not important for you. Okay, we'll go on to the regulation one more time. I hope this is clear. I think it's clear. It's clear, right? Is it clear? Regulation. Yeah. Okay. We'll move on to pancreatic secretion, the next topic. Then we have to do water balance in GIT and then digestion, last topic. Okay. Now pancreatic secretion. So next topic, pancreatic secretion. Pancreatic secretion. Okay. Pancreatic secretion. So again we will deal with the same headings. What are the features? How is it secreted? How is it secreted? It's not that important. Okay. You have to mainly learn about the regulation. Pancreatic secretion, nothing. It's the SNR cells. Pancreatic cells mainly produces the peptide. I mean the trypsinogen, which is converted to trypsin. It's just that much. Not that important. You have to just know the regulation. Regulation is very important. So regulation is very important. You have to understand the basic logic of regulation. Baki, I think if you read the textbook, you can understand. The basic logic I'll tell you. So short note, what is asked is for 5 marks. It's called as regulation. Very important. Okay, so we'll see what are the points you have to learn in this. First of all, what are the features? What are the features? We will learn these features under following headings. First of all, what is the volume? What was the volume of gastric juice? It is 2.5. What is the volume of saliva per day? 1.5 or 1500 ml per day. What is the volume of pancreatic juice? Same as saliva, 1500 ml per day or 1.5 liter per day. Yeah. Okay. Next topic. What is the pH? What is the pH? The pH is the pH is, if I tell you, uh, this pancreatic secretion is the most alkaline GI secretion. So what will be the pH? The pH is 8. 8. Then write in bracket. It is the most alkaline GI secretion. Why? Why? If someone asks you why, because it contains large amount of HCO3 negative. Okay, it contains large amount of HCO3 negative. Next, what do we learn? Substances in pancreatic juice. Substance. So substances in pancreatic juice is divided into two types. Again, same thing. Organic. So first of all, inorganic, and next organic. So what are the inorganic substances? There is just one. What is it? It is HCO3 negative. Very high amounts. Now, What are the organic components? Very important. The organic components will write with A. Okay. So first of all, it is trypsin. Trypsin. Then second, sorry, trypsinogen. 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 It is again trypsinogen, just like pepsinogen. Trypsinogen is a precursor. Precursor, yes. And then it comes chymotrypsin. Chymotrypsin. Then comes elastase. Elastase. Then comes procarboxypeptidase. Procarboxypeptidase. First of all, trypsinogen, second chymotrypsin, third procarboxypeptidase. There are two types, A and B. Okay, now trypsinogen is activated to trypsin by what? We'll see by what. The content is trypsinogen to trypsin by an enzyme called as enterokinase. What was the enzyme activating pepsinogen to trypsin? Yeah, HCl. So trypsinogen to trypsin is activated by enterokinase. This enterokinase will come and act on trypsinogen to form trypsin. Then little bit trypsin is formed right now, no? So that will also help in conversion of trypsinogen to trypsin. Rest all except trypsinogen, baki all, rest all are activated by trypsin. So clear. So pancreatic juice, what is the volume? 1500 ml per day. What is the pH? It is 8. Substances, inorganic, HCO3 negative. Because of very large amount of HCO3 negative, it is the most alkaline GI secretion. Correct. Now, trypsinogen, chymotrypsin, procarboxypeptidase A, B, and elastase are organic materials. Trypsinogen is converted to trypsin with the help of elastokinase, enterokinase, and trypsin itself. And rest all are activated by trypsin. Now, next thing. Next thing, we are going directly to regulation. Okay, go to regulation. Regulation of pancreatic secretion. If they ask an exam, actually this topic is very small, but you can add to it. Like you can write the properties of pancreatic secretion first. You can briefly describe about the secretion and then go for regulation. There's a chance of you get more marks like that. So this is very very important. Please start. Okay, so there are two kinds of cells. Okay, if you take the pancreas, if I draw the pancreas, okay, just like this is called as a head, neck, body, and tail. Head, neck, body, and tail. So head, neck, body, and tail. Okay, now the pancreatic ductal system is like, okay, so there is something called as Um, now if I take a, well, okay, we will discuss like that. So if I take a small slice from here and look at the microscopy, what I see is lot of acinar cells. So there is acinar cell, and along with that I will see something called as lot of ducts. So there is ductal cell. There are two kinds of cell, acinar cell and ductal cells. Okay. Now, acinar cells, what will they produce? What do they produce? Acinar cells. Acinar cells produces enzymes. Enzyme rich. Enzyme rich what? Enzyme rich pancreatic juice. Which enzyme? Elastase, chymotrypsin, trypsinogen, procarboxypeptidase, pro A and B. Okay. Now, so acinar cells are producing this thing, and ductal cells, what do they produce? What do ductal cells produce? Ductal cells produce watery bicarbonate rich, watery plus bicarbonate, huge amounts, rich what? Rich pancreatic juice. Or it's just like our saliva, just like our saliva. That is, when salivary glands secrete, the acinar cells will produce large amount of saliva, that is called as primary saliva, and the ducts secrete bicarbonate to it. Right, yesterday's class. Same way, the acinar cells produces large amount of pancreatic juice rich in enzymes, and then the ductal system will secrete lot of water, bicarbonate, and it will make it more alkaline. Now, now, this particular acinar cell regulation, acinar cell is mainly regulated by two hormones, two neurotransmitter regulated by cholecystokinin and acetylcholine, and the ductal system is regulated by secretin. This much only you should remember. This is the logic. Baki theory you can read. Now, acinar cells, enzyme producing cells, and the ductal cells mainly acts water and bicarbonate. Acinar cells are acted upon by, or they are regulated by CCK and ACTH, I mean acetylcholine, and the ductal cells are regulated by secretin. So that is the regulation of pancreatic cell. This in textbook I think they have a little bit detail, like from where does the CCK and ACTH come. Just read that much. Baki, this is the logic. Like ductal modification, there is separate hormone, and acinar cell is dealt with separate hormone. That's it. Okay, can we move on to the next topic? Okay, we will move on to the next topic that is called as digestion. Okay, or we will just deal in briefly we will touch the topic intestinal secretions. Okay, we will touch the topic intestinal secretions. Okay, intestine, well, intestinal juice. Okay, so again the same points features. First, volume. Second, what is the pH? Third, what are the substances? So tell me, what is the volume? The volume is 1 to 3 liters per day. What is the volume of saliva? 1.5 liters per day. What is the volume of gastric juice? It is gastric juice. The volume of gastric juice is 1 to 2 liters per day. And what was the volume of pancreatic juice? Again 1.5 liters per day. What is the volume of small intestinal secretion? It is 1 to 3 liters per day. Okay. What is the pH? The pH is alkaline. It is 7 to 8. And what are the substances? It is mainly divided. It is not organic, inorganic. It is mainly enzymes. Right, with major enzymes. Now, what are the major enzymes? It is divided into two types. One is called as protein splitting enzyme, and another one is called as carbohydrate splitting enzyme. Now tell me, what are the protein splitting enzymes? It is amino peptidase, next endopeptidase, peptide bond lysis peptidase, the enzyme that lyses the peptide bond is called as peptidase. Now aminopeptidase, endopeptidase, then enteropeptidase, next carboxypeptidase, next next is carbohydrate splitting enzymes. What are they? It is different sugars like maltase, sucrase, then lactase. And there is another enzyme which is called as fat splitting enzymes. Here, fat splitting enzyme. What is it called as? It is called as lipase. So small intestinal secretion, what is the volume? 1.3 liters. What is the pH? It is 7 to 8. What are the substances? Major enzymes mainly. Protein splitting, fat splitting, carbohydrate splitting. Protein splitting, all are peptidase. Amino, endo, entro, carboxy. Aminopeptidase, entropeptidase, carboxypeptidase, and endopeptidase. And fat splitting, lipase, carbohydrate, maltase, sucrase, and lactase. Is it clear? Can we move on to the next topic? The next topic is digestion. Can we move on to the next topic? Okay, we'll move on to digestion, the last topic, and we will be finishing GIT. Basic way to learn digestion is I'll give you a flow chart. Then I'll explain you the flow chart. You just read the textbook once and add to this flow chart. Okay, it'll be easier like that. Instead of just telling the theory, you won't understand anything. So we'll divide digestion. So digestion, we're going to learn about digestion. Digestion we'll learn in following headings. That is, first, digestion of carbohydrates. Second, digestion of proteins. Third, digestion of fat. That's it. Okay, we'll learn like this. Okay, so first of all, digestion of carbohydrates. So digestion of carbohydrates. First of all, we have to learn about food. What are present in the food? Food mainly comprises of two things. What are they? Plant products and animal products. Correct. Plant products and animal product. Plant product has carbohydrate called as starch. An animal product, glycogen. Okay. What are they? They are mainly polysaccharides. Polysaccharides. So in the food, plant products are there, animal products are there. Plant products mainly comprises of starch and plant products I am talking about rice, wheat, barley, etc. Animal products like meat, egg, egg, meat. Yeah, so they mainly comprise of glycogen. Now these are polysaccharides. Yeah, these are polysaccharides. Polysaccharides, uh, they are in the mouth. In the mouth, what happens? What happens in the mouth? So first part we are learning is in the mouth. Which enzyme is there in the mouth? In the mouth, it is acted by saliva. Which enzyme? Enzyme salivary amylase. Okay, salivary alpha amylase actually. Alpha amylase. Now, now what happens is, okay, it is acted upon by this enzyme. Small breakdown occurs. Okay. Now, this reaches the stomach, further acted upon by HCl. Okay. But the polysaccharides are same only. It doesn't break down here. Actually, where it breaks down is, it reaches the, okay, it crosses stomach, it goes to duodenum. Duodenum. Which part of duodenum? Second part of duodenum. What is so special about second part? Second part is the place where duct of pancreas open. Okay, so here it is acted upon by pancreatic juice. But what is the point here? What is the point? Monosaccharide. Pancreatic juice will act on this, but the problem here is the pancreatic juice cannot break down the terminal alpha linkages. Okay, or you can say pancreatic juice cannot form monosaccharides. Then what does it form? It mainly forms the following things. It gives rise to maltose. What is maltose? Give rise to maltose. Alpha limit dextrin. Alpha limit dextrin. Then, then one more substance is there. Yeah, maltose, alpha limit dextrose as and maltotriose. Okay, maltotriose. What is maltose? It is a disaccharide. What is maltotriose? It is a trisaccharide. Do you see any monosaccharide over here? No, there are no monosaccharide. Pancreatic juice cannot form monosaccharides. Now, after the second part of duodenum, these will enter into a particular place called as small intestine. And small intestine, what are they acted upon by? What are they acted upon by? They are acted upon by. They are acted upon by lactases, lactase, maltase, or simple words I can say carbohydrate splitting enzymes. Now, small intestine, they are acted upon by carbohydrate splitting enzymes. Now, what will end product will I get? The end product which I get is called as monosaccharides. What are the monosaccharides? That is glucose, galactose, and fructose. Okay. So first of all, again we will do it. The food mainly consists of plant products, animal products, starch, glycogen. They are mainly polysaccharides. In the mouth, they are acted upon by saliva. Nothing will happen, not much of digestion. Salivary amylase. Then the stomach, not much of a thing. Duodenum, second part. Yes, here is the thing where polysaccharides are converted to disaccharides and trisaccharides, acted upon by pancreatic juice. That is, we get maltose, maltotriose, and alpha limit dextrin. What is alpha limit dextrin actually? Alpha limit dextrin is, these are small branched polysaccharides. Okay. And then there is the small intestine where GOT acts, carbohydrate splitting enzyme acts, and we get monosaccharides, that is glucose, galactose, and fructose. Now, after this step, there occurs absorption. After this step, what happens is absorption. How does the absorption occurs? Again, we will go see. There is one cell. This is my small intestinal cell. We have to draw it. Okay, so this is the lumen, intestinal lumen. This is the basolateral side. Okay. Now here is my glucose present. Glucose, sucrose. I'm sorry, not sucrose, fructose. Again glucose I will write. Again glucose. Then also I have fructose over here. Fructose. Okay. Now I have got two most important transporter over here. One, first transporter, and second transporter. What are these transporter? These are called as these are called as these are called as glucose transporters. Okay, so first one, this is called as SG. The name of this transporter is SGLT1. Okay, and the name of this transmitter is GLUT or GLUT5. SGLT1 and GLUT5. What are the things they will carry? SGLT1 will carry glucose and galactose. Glucose and galactose. And GLUT5 will carry fructose. So as soon as the monosaccharides are present here, the cell will sense it and start producing these transporters. Okay. Okay. And now what happens is there is a particular transporter on the basolateral side also. Here, this transporter is called as GLUT2. GLUT2. What does it do? Now just see the glucose. I think I have to take white. The glucose is taken by this transporter and it's thrown inside. The galactose part is also there, it is also thrown inside. Fructose is taken by this and thrown inside. So inside the cell, now inside the cell what is happening? Glucose, 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 and with the help of this transporter what is developing? Fructose, fructose, fructose. Now who will eliminate this? Yeah, you are right. All of this will get eliminated by this transporter GLUT2, GLUT2, where into the bloodstream. Even galactose also, all of this, glucose, galactose, and fructose. That's how absorption take place. What is the name of this cell? It's called as brush water cell or small intestinal cell. Okay, so Major action is mainly digestion, carbohydrate. First of all, polysaccharides, salivary amylase. Second part of duodenum, stomach nothing. Second part of duodenum, we get disaccharides and trisaccharides, and even small branches of polysaccharide called as alpha limit dextrin is acted upon by carbohydrate splitting enzymes, and we get monosaccharides. Correct. Now absorption, it is like this: with the help of SGLT1 transporter and GL-GLUT5 transporter, and it is exchanged into the bloodstream. So what is present over here? We have the bloodstream. Clear? Is it clear? Okay. Now we move on to the next topic, that is digestion of proteins. Digestion of protein, also I'll give you a flow chart. Mm, Digestion of proteins. Digestion of proteins. So digestion of proteins. Okay. Mm, okay, we will deal in a flow chart only. It's easier. Okay. Flow chart. Okay. So first of all, food. Food consists of proteins. What are these proteins actually chemically? They are polypeptides. Polypeptides. Okay. Now, in the mouth, sorry, in the mouth, what happens? No digestion. Straight away it goes to where? It goes to stomach. Now, stomach, there is an enzyme called as pepsin. Pepsin, yeah. Pepsinogen is converted to pepsin by what? HCl. So there is pepsin. The pepsin will convert, I mean, yeah, okay. The pepsin will divide all the proteins into peptones, large polypeptides, peptones and large polypeptides. Now, after the stomach, where do they go? They go to the second part of the duodenum, right? They go to the second part of the duodenum and are acted upon by what? Pancreatic proteases. Correct. This pancreatic proteases will divide this polypeptide to form three things. So first of all, in the mouth, no digestion, stomach, pepsin divides into peptones and polypeptides. Now they are acted upon by pancreatic enzyme. So pancreatic enzyme will divide into three parts. First part. First part is called as dipeptidase. Dipeptides, dipeptides. Then tripeptides, peptides, and smaller polypeptides, small polypeptides. So after the action of pancreatic enzymes, we get dipeptides, tripeptides, small peptides. Okay. Now, uh, now these things will go into these things. will be going into small intestine. Correct. What do we have in the small intestine? Intestine. In the small intestine, we have brush border cells. These brush border cells will secrete something called as brush border peptidase or protein splitting enzyme. Now, these protein splitting enzymes will divide the dipeptides, tripeptides, and smaller polypeptides into dipeptides will, and tripeptides will be divided into what? They divided into amino acids, and there will be small amount of small polypeptides left. Baki all will be converted to amino acids. Now, these amino acids and small polypeptides will be absorbed. Yeah, they are absorbed. Absorbed. How are they absorbed? I'll tell you. Absorbed, and the small polypeptides, no, when they are inside the cell, the small polypeptides are converted to amino acids by what? By an enzyme called as intracellular peptidases. Intracellular peptidase. How are they absorbed? Suppose this is the brush border cell I am making. Okay, this is the brush border cell, and now with the right I will make a transporter. This is called as this particular transporter. There is a name, and we'll make one small amino acid also. This is my amino acid. This transporter is called as sodium dependent co-transporter. So this transporter will transport my amino acid inside the cell. Amino acid need not be digested anymore, no? Because it is the simplest form, amino acid. Now, and one more substance I have here that is called a small polypeptides. We'll draw it with green. Small polypeptides. Small. These are taken inside the cell by a process called as endocytosis. So this part of the membrane we have endocytosis. So this part of the membrane will go and will form a vesicle around it, and the vesicle, or this just comes closer. Just imagine like that, and then this part of the membrane disappears. Okay, and this ball is taken inside and goes inside. This is by the process of endocytosis. This is by co-transporter. This is by endocytosis, and this is converted to simpler forms, that is amino acid, by an enzyme called as intracellular peptidases. Intracellular peptidase. Clear? So that is a digestional protein. First of all, food proteins in the mouth, no digestion. Stomach, with the help of enzyme pepsin, they are converted to peptones and large polypeptides. In the second part of duodenum, pancreatic juice acts on it to convert into dipeptides, tripeptides, small polypeptides, and in the small intestine, they are taken by the brush border cells. As the brush border cells produces protein splitting enzymes, it is divided into amino acids and small polypeptides. Amino acids are absorbed by sodium dependent co-transporter in the brush border cell. This is the brush border cell, and the small polypeptides are taken in by the process of endocytosis. and it is converted into amino acid by intracellular peptidases. Clear? Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear, guys? Okay, we'll move on to the next topic. Last topic, that is digestion of fat. Again, we will go for a flow chart. Don't just read this flow chart and go. Please read the textbook and add points to this flow chart. Digestion of fat. So digestion of fat. Okay. Again, we will go in the same fashion. First of all, in the food, what is present? Fat. What is the chemical? Triglyceride. Okay. Triglyceride. Where does the first digestion occur? Is it in the mouth? Mouth? No. No. Next. Where does it go? Stomach. Is it in the stomach? No. Then where is it? Next point. Is it in the duodenum? Which part of duodenum is it going? First part. Is it in the first part? Duodenum. Which part? Second part. It is not acted by pancreatic juice, but it is acted by bile. Bile. And this bile, what does it do is, it emulsifies. It helps in emulsification of the fat. Emulsifies. Emulsifies the fat. Okay. Why it emulsifies? It emulsifies because then only after emulsification an enzyme can act on it. Which is that enzyme? You have learned about it. Pancreatic juice. What is that? What is that? Yeah, pancreatic lipase. It is the pancreatic lipase that acts next. Pancreatic lipase acts on it. Acts on it to convert it into what? Acts on it and converts it into converts to fatty acid. Next what will happen? Where does it go? Where does it go? It goes to the small intestine. Okay. But before that, as it passes through this digestion, this process of digestion by pancreatic enzyme, it gets converted to a substance called as micelle. Micelle formation. Micelle formation occurs and it enters the jejunum for what? For absorption. Now, now there are two things, no? One thing that has emulsified the fat, so it will be like this, I tell you. So the fat is coming, if you yellow. So the fat is coming from the mouth, nothing happened, same fat is coming, and in the duodenum, something is acting on this fat, that is the bile. So now it is emulsified. What acts on this emulsified fat? What acts on this emulsified fat? Yes, it is the pancreatic juice that acts on this emulsified fat. Yes, pancreatic juice. Okay. To convert it into what? To convert it into free fatty acids. FFA. Now this FFA is covered by bile, no? Bile salts are also there. Bile salts are not digested. Bile acid is also there. Bile is also here. So it is not digested. The free fatty acid is also there. Now what happens in jejunum is free fatty acid is absorbed, but bile is not. Bile not absorbed. Then where is bile absorbed? Bile is absorbed in the terminal ileum. Okay, bile is absorbed in terminal ileum. Clear? So digestion of fat, triglyceride, mouth nothing, stomach nothing. Second part of duodenum what acts? Bile acts and it emulsifies. Very important. And pancreatic lipase acts on it to convert into fatty acid. Fatty acid and bile are present. This is called as micelle formation. And then it goes to jejunum. Jejunum absorption takes place. Absorption of what? It is the fat, not the bile. Bile is getting absorbed from terminal ileum. So okay, so we have dealt with digestion part completely. So today what all we have done, let's see. So we have started with GAT, secretions. Secretions, is it done? Yes, we have completed secretion. Digestion, yes. We have learned about gastric glands, then gastric glands properties, how they are located, then what are the different substances secreted, what is trefoil peptide, so that is done. Next we saw about gastric juice, we learned about the volume, pH, what are the substances, then what is the mechanism of secretion of HCl we saw, then what is the regulation, then after that we went to pancreatic secretion. Out of that, regulation is very important. Regulation of pancreatic secretion, it is very important. Next is intestinal juice, we saw what are the components, different types. Then wait a sec, yeah, then we came to digestion of carbohydrates we done. Then we dealt with absorption of carbohydrates, then we saw digestion of proteins, digestion of fat, and yeah, and that way we have completed the chapter GIT.